Welcome to the 9th episode of the African Mega Project. Nigeria is the largest producer of crude oil in Africa. It is also ranked 15th in the world. Despite this African and global standing, Nigeria has spent billions of dollars on the importation of refined petroleum products over the last couple of decades. The Central Bank of Nigeria reported that the country spent $8.4 billion in 2017. This figure has increased to $23.3 billion in 2022. It is anticipated that this amount will reach $30 billion by 2027. Such a huge cost was a burden on Nigeria, and someone had to act. On this occasion, one man rose to the challenge. Instead of buying Arsenal Football Club, this man chose to invest $20 billion in a huge refinery that will put an end to the importation of refined oil in Nigeria. This businessman is Aliko Dangote. On 22nd of May 2023, Aliko Dangote, the richest man in Africa and the founder and CEO of Dangote Group, revealed to the world the largest single train refinery on the planet. This crude oil refinery will have a production capacity twice that of current Nigeria's demand, meaning that the refinery could serve Nigeria and its neighboring countries. In this episode, we will undertake a detailed investigation of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. We will begin by analyzing the project's significant capital costs. We will then investigate if the plant has the capacity to satisfy Nigeria's demand for refined oil. And finally, we will evaluate the challenges that the plant is currently facing. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery is located in the Teju Lake district of Lagos. It is on a land of over 26 million meters squared. The construction of refinery cost $20 billion. Dangote Group contributed 50% of the budget, and the remaining was provided by banks in the form of loans. The bank loans came from both local and foreign banks. As of October 2024, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery is owned by Dangote Group and the Nigerian National Petroleum Limited (NNPC). The state-owned NNPC has a 7.2% from 20% as initially agreed in 2021. This has been confirmed by Dangote himself during an interview with journalists. He said, and I quote, "NNPC no longer owns 20% stake in the Dangote refinery. They were meant to pay the balance in June, but have yet to fulfill their obligations. Now they only own a 7.2% stake in the refinery." Does the Dangote Petroleum Refinery have the capacity to satisfy Nigeria's demand for refined oil? The answer is yes. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery can process 650,000 barrels of crude oil per day. The Nigeria's internal demand stands at 471,500 barrels per day. This means that Dangote have enough refined oil to satisfy Nigeria and have the surplus to sell to the international market. In addition, Nigeria has a production capacity of crude oil which is more than twice what Dangote Refinery would need. Based on this data, the issue of oil supply in Nigeria is theoretically resolved. Nigeria has sufficient crude oil reserves to supply the Dangote Refinery. the Dangote production capacity exceeds the domestic demand in Nigeria. This leaves a surplus of more than 170,000 barrels per day for export. These numbers are clear and correct. However, reality does not reflect these numbers. For instance, it is reported that Nigeria imported 274,000 barrels per day in September 2024. And in the last 16 days of October, Nigeria's imported 180,000 barrels per day. Such numbers are worrying despite the huge investment that was placed in the Dangote Refinery plant. So the question is, what has gone wrong with the Dangote Refinery, and why is it not providing enough refined oil to Nigeria? The first challenge of the refinery is the insufficient supply of oil. This is linked to the lower supply of crude oil by NNPC. As an example, NNPC delivered only 82,000 barrels per day instead of 300,000 as initially agreed. This shortage has pushed the Dangote Refinery to find other sources of crude oil. For example, it has imported over 15 million barrels from US to maintain its operations. The Dangote Refinery also faces the problem of quality. The refinery is accused of producing diesel with sulfur content above 600 ppm. This content is way higher than 50 ppm imposed by Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. However, Dangote claimed that the quality of diesel that the refinery produces is better than the standard. He argued also that the quality of his refined oil is even better than what is produced in Nigeria, this despite NNPC accusing it of low quality. Other challenges are related to conflicts of interest with other players involved in oil in Nigeria, such as NNPC, Nigerian government, and so on. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has the theoretical capacity to make Nigeria self-sufficient in refined oil and export the surplus. However, the Dangote Refinery is facing a number of challenges. To help the refinery, regulators should enforce domestic supply obligation and foster cooperation between various players in oil in Nigeria. The success of the Dangote Refinery is crucial not only for the company itself but also for Nigeria entire value chain and the country energy ambitions. Thank you for staying with us on our 9th episode. See you next time.